The story begins on Christmas night when everyone was busy decorating their homes. In one house, a man named Manel was visiting his elder sister's place with his wife. He spent the evening joyfully playing with his young nephew. As the night deepened, Manel put his nephew to sleep before bidding goodbye to his sister and heading home. While his wife was driving, Manel noticed her uneasy demeanor and asked, "What's wrong?" "Tell me." His wife replied, "You know I want a baby." Manel responded calmly, "I want one too, but not now. When the time is right." Frustrated, she retorted, "You just don't want it." Amid their argument, a speeding car overtook them recklessly, causing their car to go out of control. Manel's wife managed to stabilize the vehicle, but it veered onto the wrong side of the road. Just as she tried to correct their path, a truck collided with their car, flipping it over and leaving them in a dire state. In this accident, Manel's life was spared, but his wife lost hers. A year later, Manel now lives alone with his cat in a large, empty house. His days are quiet and somber, filled with memories of the past. One evening, Manel watches the news and learns about a dangerous virus spreading across the country. The authorities warn that borders might soon be closed to contain the outbreak, leaving people stranded wherever they are to prevent further spread. The virus is terrifying. Those infected become extremely violent, filled with uncontrollable rage, and act cruelly beyond comprehension, almost like zombies. Initially, the infected would attack and bite others, spreading the virus rapidly. However, now the virus is somewhat under control, with the infected no longer biting like zombies, but still remaining dangerously aggressive. This is the first variant of the virus. Now everywhere in the news was arguing about this virus, that how did it start? But Manel didn't care about all this. He was already very sad before his wife's death. That's why he doesn't take any precautions and goes out to the city in his car. We see written on many places that "Welcome to the beginning of the end," meaning you're welcome at the beginning of the end. Now Manel came to the seaside because his wife had bought a boat, from which Manel had come to sell. When he was going back after meeting the customer, his sister's call comes, whose name was Belén. But Manel didn't answer the call. Then he goes to a store where people are buying food like crazy, although it was also said in the news that only the necessary things were bought. But people were scared that if the lockdown is imposed, then we will not be able to leave the house. That's why it is necessary to have the necessary things. After coming home, Manel calls his sister Belén. She tells that my husband is in the army, so because of him we are being sent to an island so that we can be saved from the infection of the virus. We will be given a house to stay there. So you also come with us, my brother. We are leaving for there tonight, but Manel clearly refuses. But Belén insists that my brother, we should stay together at this time. So please you also come. And yes, the airport near you, flights are also going to the island from there. So no doubt you come tomorrow, but do come. Now Manel himself did not want to go, but he agrees to his sister's insistence. And the next morning he left for the airport with his cat. On the way, he also sees the cars of many other people who were going to the airport to go to the island. Manel was listening to the news. Then it is found that the second variant of the virus, that is, the wave of the next virus from the last, has come at night, in which this virus spreads by cutting and infecting the blood of the infected person. Manel reached the airport and was in a long line to buy tickets, because everyone wanted to go to the island. But then, it is said that the flight to the island has been cancelled, which made everyone worried that how will we go to the island now? Then he got a call from Belén. She says that the airport is being closed because of the second variant of the virus. That's why all the flights were cancelled. For now, you go home and don't go out. I will keep updating you and tell you what to do next. Then there is a riot at the airport too, and Manel somehow came out with his cat and left the car for home. But on the way, he sees long lines of traffic. Even after waiting for many hours when the traffic did not open, he took his cat and left for home on foot. It was night by the time he came home. And what he saw, he was shocked. Because there were army men standing near his neighbor's house who had made a place like a plastic tunnel around his house from which they were forcibly dragging the neighbor. Because he was infected with the new variant of the virus. Manel came home and slept. The next morning, Belén called. She says that the situation is getting worse. It has been heard that the government is making a safe zone for people, where they can keep people away from infection. Because they will be quarantined there, that is, they will stay there. But the inside news is that there will be more danger there. Obviously, if the number of people is more in one place, the risk of infection can increase. So whatever happens, don't leave the house. Don't go to the safe zone at all. Then as soon as the situation gets better, we will take you from here. Manel sees in the news that the borders have also been closed, and when he checked his phone, there were also videos of this virus being transmitted. How to save yourself from infected people, and how do other variants of people infect others? Seeing this, Manel was worried. What is happening in this country? Then the government sent an emergency message that after a few hours, all people will come out and markets will also be closed. That's why Manel goes to the store to buy food. But people had already emptied the entire store, and half of the things that Manel was trying to buy, people were also snatching it and running away. Manel also put some things in the bag and he goes out. Then he saw that an infected person was attacking the police. Manel came out with a rod so that he could save the police officer. But the infected person's attention went to him, and he started running towards Manel. He tries to save himself, but then the infected person dies from being shot. The bullet that the officer had fired. Manel started moving forward to help him, but the officer was also infected because of the cut. That's why he tells Manel to stay away from himself. After Manel left, the officer shot himself and killed himself, so that he could not harm others. Manel comes home and arranges his security. He puts extra locks, rods, and fat keys on the door so that no one can enter. The network was also shut down by evening. At night, the army brought a bus to his area so that people could reach the safe zone. He announces and tells everyone to sit in the bus. He turns off the lights at home and hides there so that people can't take him with them. Now let's look at the time after 2 weeks. Manel was left alone in this whole area. He makes a video for his sister. Manel records a video for his sister saying, "I'm absolutely fine here. The only issue is that my food and water supplies have run out." After finishing the message, he tries to send it, but fails. The network has been shut down. He sits in despair, thinking, even if the infection doesn't kill me, hunger surely will. Determined to survive, he arms himself and ventures out in search of food. Manel checks several houses, but each one is empty of supplies. Frustration and exhaustion begin to weigh on him as he continues his search, moving farther from his home. Eventually, he reaches a house where he encounters an elderly woman sitting in a wheelchair. Her legs are paralyzed, leaving her unable to move freely. Manel thinks, there must be food here, but after thoroughly searching the house, he finds nothing to eat. The emptiness around him deepens. The old woman tells him that I had kept an eye on some houses here, so you go to those houses. I hope there is food there. When Manel went to the houses mentioned, he found things to eat, which both ate to satisfy their hunger. That's why the old woman tells Manel that it would have been better if you had gone with the army. If we didn't have anything to eat, we would have killed each other with hunger. Manel says that we shouldn't lose hope. I will go to find food. When he came to a house, he got a lot of food, from which he brings home. At night, both of them are very happy after eating their stomach full. He tells the old woman about his wife and says that it was good that she died. See what we are getting to see. We don't even have food. After saying a few more things, he came to his house. Then he makes videos of his sister and sends them, with the hope that whenever the network comes, videos and messages will be sent. He then went to sleep. But then he heard the voice of the old woman on the walkie-talkie. She says, "Turn on the radio quickly." When she turned on the radio, the government officers said that those who are still alive, they came to the camping area safe zone and met us. "We will help you." Sent to Ireland. The old woman says to the walkie-talkie that I don't think all this is right. In the crowd, the infection will spread quickly. Manel says there is a shortage of food. We will have to go there. She says, I am on a wheelchair. I will not be able to go. Manel says it is my job. I will help you in every way and take you with me. The next morning, he packs his luggage and comes to the old woman's house. But seeing this, he breaks that the old woman is dead, because she took life by taking too much medicine. He also left a letter. Thank you for taking care of me. I could not be a burden on you anymore. So I took this step. Now you go ahead alone from here." Then he left the house alone with a sad heart. But an infected woman attacks him. He pushes the woman away and shoots her to save his life. Although he feels bad doing this, he leaves a message for his sister again. He says, "Now the infected people have come in the streets. I can't wait for you to come. You will take me with you. So I am coming myself." Saying this, he leaves for the safe zone camping area from where he will be sent to the island. But because the road was closed, he started going through the jungle. But a lot of infected people follow him. But he does not stop the bike. He reaches the camping area where he was told to come. But unfortunately, there were also piles of dead bodies there, because all the people who had come here had died due to the infection. Now his bike overturns after colliding with a dead body, due to which the box with the cat also fell down. And now when he tried to start the bike, he could not do it. So he takes the box with the cat and walks out of the jungle, because the infected people were after him. He runs to a building and closes the door. Infected people start hitting their heads there, and he leaves the back road. He sees a small ship, but he was worried to see blood on the ship. Then the cabin started making a noise, and when he opened the door and saw, there was a small baby who was also infected, and he was looking very drowsy. Manel thinks that if someone was very infected, I would have killed him and taken the ship. But how do I kill the child? Thinking this, he takes a small boat from the ship and leaves. On the way, he again messaged Belén, that sister, "You were right not to go to the safe zone, because there is also a bad situation there. Some people died and some became infected. It was night while traveling. In the water, he also sees the dead bodies of the infected people. Then he saw a small ship coming towards him. He signals it and stops it. The people of the ship put a gun on Manel, but when he said that I am not infected, he brought him on the ship. Then all of them go to a big ship. Manel and his cat are fed. There were 3 people here. One was the pilot, the captain of the ship, and the third was the captain's son. The pilot gives Manel a small cabin to rest in. As Manel settles down, he asks the pilot, "Did you only find me alive?" The pilot replies, "Yes, you're the first." Later that night, Manel looks out of his cabin window and notices a family approaching the ship, seemingly coming to offer help. He watches them intently, feeling a glimmer of hope. The next morning, Manel meets some of the other survivors who have been living there since before his arrival. Curious, he asks the pilot about the family he saw coming to the ship the previous night. The pilot looks confused and says, No one came to the ship last night." Hearing this, Manel feels uneasy. A strange sense of doubt begins to creep in, prompting him to observe everything around him more carefully. Finally, he approaches the pilot again and says, Manel insists, "The family who came last night, they were taken to the basement, weren't they?" The pilot, visibly irritated, replies, "Don't overthink things, just mind your own business." This response unsettles Manel even more. Suspicious, he questions, "You're a pilot, so why are you staying on this ship with them? I know there are planes and helicopters nearby. We could use them to reach the island." The pilot's demeanor changes and he snaps, "Manel, if you want to stay alive, stick to your own business." Now more suspicious than ever, Manel begins planning his escape. That night, as he prepares to sneak away, he remembers the family he saw. Unable to ignore his conscience, he decides to check the basement. In the dimly lit basement, he discovers the family tied up, their mouths covered with bandages. Shocked, Manel quickly removes the bandages from their mouths, ready to hear their story. He asks, "Where is our woman and child?" Manel refused that I don't know. But then the captain's man came here who pointed a gun directly at Manel. But before shooting, Manel said that I don't know where they are. But before shooting, at the right time, the pilot comes and kills the captain's man. He also scolds Manel that I had forbidden you to stay away from these matters, after which he quietly ran away with the small boat. But the captain's people saw them and they started shooting, in which the man dies whom they had just saved, and the pilot gets injured. When Manel reaches the shore, he takes the pilot to the hospital where he could get a helicopter from the hospital's roof. On the way, Manel asks him what happened to that family's woman and child. The pilot says that this captain is a very bad and disgusting person. He saves these people, takes them to the island, makes the dead his slaves and does wrong with the women. After hearing this, Manel also got angry. He says that when the situation gets better, then such people should be punished who are taking advantage of people in trouble. As soon as he reached the hospital, Manel started running towards them to attack them, but Manel shoots them all with his machine gun and kills them. Then he came in with the pilot's support. But there was no nurse or doctor here. There was blood everywhere. That means there was destruction here too. Manel kills him. Then the pilot tells him to take out his bullet. Manel had not done this before today, nor was it his profession, but today the situation was so difficult that he had to work as a doctor himself. When he went to pick up his stuff, another infected man followed him. Then Manel shoots him with great difficulty and saves his life. But the sound of the gun and a lot of infected people come and follow Manel. He saved his life and ran away when a nurse came in front of him and helped him. She took Manel to the area where the infected people had not reached yet. Apart from this nurse, there was a doctor and 3 children there. Manel goes to another room to take out his bullet. Then he comes and tells that he has taken out the bullet. He will be fine after some time. Manel tells him that he is a pilot by profession. So there are helicopters here. The nurse says that yes, there are helicopters, but he is standing down. But there are a lot of infected people around, so going there is not free of any danger. Manel tells the nurse that when our accident happened, I brought my wife here. Then he went to the place where his wife died. With a heavy heart, Manel whispers, "Please forgive me for not listening to you. I thought I needed more time to be ready for a child. I never imagined you'd leave me so soon." Gathering his resolve, he climbs back upstairs, determined to figure out a way to reach the helicopter safely. Just then, his phone rings, breaking the silence. Notifications flood in. His network was restored. Manel checks his messages and finds one from his sister. It's a video message. "We've reached the island. It's amazing here. Everything is safe, and we're enjoying a lot." Feeling a surge of hope, Manel starts recording a reply to share his situation. But before he can finish, the sharp sound of gunfire pierces the air. Peeking outside, he sees a group of armed men, desperate scavengers, who have come looking for food. Manel realizes the danger has only just begun. Manel quickly goes down and tells them that the goons have come to the hospital. Before they reach the helicopter, we will have to reach the helicopter. And now he started moving forward while avoiding the infected people, where an infected person comes and cuts the doctor. Although Manel killed him, Manel was thinking that I have also become infected. She tells the nurse to take care of the children, and she goes inside the infected person, after which these people moved forward. Now they had to go to the helicopter by avoiding the infected people. Then Manel uses his brain. He sees some barricades here under which there were also tires. He joins all those barricades and makes a circle in which these people enter and leave. But a tire got stuck in one place. When he tried to get rid of it, the tire cracked and made a noise so that all the infected people come to him. But because of the barricades, he could not harm them. But when all the infected people started climbing from above, he started killing them with axes. But their number was very high, and there was no use. Meanwhile, the nurse opens a barricade and runs away with the children and quickly comes and sits in the helicopter. After a while, the pilot also came in the helicopter. As Manel tries to start the helicopter, something goes wrong, and it won't start. Meanwhile, infected people climb over the gate and rush toward the helicopter area. Manel quickly grabs an axe and begins fighting them off, cutting them down one by one. The commotion draws the attention of the armed scavengers, who arrive at the scene with guns. They enter the area, further complicating the situation. Manel and the pilot exchange a worried glance, realizing they need to act fast. Without hesitation, Manel uses his axe to break open another gate, allowing a larger group of infected to flood the area. Chaos ensues as the scavengers are forced to battle the incoming infected, giving Manel and the pilot a chance to act. The pilot manages to get the helicopter started just in time. A nurse on board throws down a ladder for Manel, who climbs it with great difficulty. Once inside, he feels a wave of relief and joy. He is finally on his way to safety. Excitedly, Manel calls his sister, saying, "Belén, I've made it. I'm about to reach the island." But Belén's response shocks him. "My brother, turn back immediately. There are many infected here too. This place is no longer safe. Before Manel can reply, the call disconnects. Despite the warning, Manel chooses to land on the island. His resolve hardens. He will save his sister and her family and find a way to take them to true safety. As the helicopter lands, the screen fades, leaving viewers with hope and anticipation. The film ends here.